I did or I'm doing. Um, so my calculator that I have here, I've been working on it for a bit. This is my second version. It's a little bit more neater. So this actually might be good for, not good for you, but might be interest because it's a similar format as like things like Satisfactory or Minecraft, and it is kind of what is already been done in essence on Satisfactory, where you can pin, like if there's some basic material they have to do, you can pin the recipe and you can see how much you have. This does that, but at different levels. So you kind of understand that like there are some things like the raw resources, tier one resources, which are like kind of like um those are things that are processed but not really used. Like for example, screws, right? Screws are tier one resources. So you make it from, and even iron bars, right? Those are tier one resources because those are used as ingredients for further things, but they're like more polished. They're not raw materials. So for Fortnite, Lego Fortnite, they have raw materials. So they have wood, knot root, flex wood, frost pine, and then they have granite, marble, obsidian. So these are all the raw materials from the world, and these come from plants, they come from animals, which are friendly animals or hostile animals like wolves, friendly animals like sheep or you know, or rams, with whichever biome that you're in. Um, like these are all from hostile creatures. Um, so these are from creatures. This is from like hostile NPCs. So they have a Star Wars event and they have like stormtroopers, and if you destroy a stormtrooper, they drop plastoid. And then they have things that you can find like scrap Duracell and restaurants. So these are just raw resources. So these are similar to like iron, your copper, coal, right? These usually need some kind of um, thing to retrieve them. So if I scroll back up, this wood can be found like in bushes. You can use any kind of axe to chop down a tree to get them. Knotwood, flexwood needs like stronger axes, and frostpine needs the strongest axe to chop it down. So there are some materials that need a certain level or certain material tool to get it. So that's included too. I just didn't add yet. So I have tools needed, which is up here, but I just didn't add the relation yet because I'm not finished, and I have the biome where it's located at because some of these are only located in biomes. Like this is in the icy biome. So then this is the tier research, tier tier one resources or like processed material. Let me see. There you go. That's a little bit better. So these are processed from the raw materials, but they're like almost like ingredients, so they're not really used by themselves that much. So, for example, this wooden rod it comes from wood, and it need you need a lumber mill to retrieve it to make it. Um, Gold bars come from the raw resource, um, like gold ore, and I think let's see, and torches, which is also a tier one resource. Um, Copper bars come from one copper ore and two bright core, which are both raw resources. So all of these come from resources. They're more processed, but they're not really used by themselves, right? They're just ingredients, and that's kind of the same with Satisfactory. There are some things that are processed that are just used as ingredients. So, for example, screws are a common one. Um, The metal sheets are another one, right? You don't really use them by themselves. You use them as ingredients to make other things. So these are pretty much what those are, right? You can use these to make tools, to make furniture, to make buildings, to make other, other processed items. And and for this one, I have to put in what actual piece of machinery you need to use to produce this, but for right now, I just have the basics. Now the last one is tier 2 resources, which are more like the final products. Those are the ones that you use like as tools in Satisfactory. It might be machines, right? Those are kind of like the things that after you gather everything, you build it and you use it. So it could be something like conveyor belts, your train parts, your actual train, right? Those are all like recipes for something, and they might have raw resources as an ingredient, or it might have tier 2 resources as an ingredient. So if I have to edit this anyway, column, put large, there we go. So the basic glider is a tool that you can use, like the tool in Fortnite, right? That you can use it to glide around when you jump off something. These are all tools. So, okay, so after everything, the thing that made me want to make this is that, like Satisfactory, there's only a certain level of information that it gives you. So if you pin a recipe and it has some ingredients that are raw and some ingredients that are processed, it doesn't tell you the overall raw materials. So if you need 50 nails or screws, but then you need 50 raw copper, it doesn't tell you how many raw ingredients overall. So this does. So I have some random ones, right? So you have a choice. So there are some times where you want raw materials just to have on stack. Yeah, you need the overall raw, right? So there I have it that you could just need the overall raw materials so you can just have them from scratch. So okay, I need this many nails, I need this, I need wire, I need sheets. This is how much iron I need. This is how much copper I need. Um and so this is a calculator that you can not only see how much materials you need to make these items, but you can also add in how much of the raw materials you need, because there's sometimes where you just want raw resources overall. Like I always would like to have a stack of wood, a stack of, marble, if I have a whim to mill something. So I have kind of an example. So I'm actually going to collapse this because this is kind of redundant. I'm collapsing this because this is redundant too. You don't need that. Because what you uh this was. So for example, let's say I want let me make sure I have it. See both the rest for okay. So let's say I have a I built all of this in Coda. So let's say I want a basic lighter. You really just need one. But for example, let's say it's something that I need multiples of. Maybe it breaks after a certain amount. So what I do, you either have two choices. You can just, you can double click the little zero, or you can just slide it, which I usually just slide it. So this is ridiculous, but let's say I need 148, whatever reason. And then if you hit need, it tells you. So right now, so if I go to um, the basic lighter and I expand it, it tells you. So I have an order. So this top part is raw material slots, and this is the slots for ingredients that are processed. So I need 8 wooden rods, 4 wool threads, and 6 silk threads. Good. So you see the silk thread, right? Well, silk threads are made out of silk, wool, threads made out of wool, and wood. So what that does is that I have a conversion that like, okay, I need wooden rod. I need 5 wooden rods for each glider, and then I have it calculate. Okay, to make a wooden rod, I need 1 wood. So it makes those calculations backwards. That as long as you have a request for a certain amount, it calculates that backwards. There. Can you hear me good now? I'm gonna have to lower my, or I can just raise actually. Uh, boop, 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 boop. Okay, nice. So, what I was saying is that the ingredients, um, for each, let's see, let me look here. So, what it does is that it goes backwards. So, for a wooden rod, right, the ingredients for a wooden rod is 1 wood. So, it brings down the amount. So, and this is like calculated, right? So, it tells you, so it pretty much passes down the calculations for you. So it needs 8 wooden rods for 1 basic glider. So it calculates how many gliders I need times how many rods I need. So for this ingredient, you need this much of this ingredient. So it's around like 800 or 1,000. Okay, I need 1,000 rods. Then it sees, hey, do you have ingredients for this rod? Yes, I do. I have wood. So it calculates how much of the wood you would need, which is just 1 to 1. So how many rods you would need is how much wood you would need. This one is the same. Like wool thread, silk thread are usually 1 to wool and silk. So it does the same thing. It calculates how much wool thread you need and then breaks that down to wool. Calcs how many silk thread you need and it brings it down to how much silk you need. It does it for each one. So if I do the opposite, let's say I have too much and I don't need that much, it removes it. And let's say raw resources, I do the same thing and takes that out. So you kind of see. And I have it that it brings up the list of items that were adjusted before. So at some time, I want some ruby. I don't want that anymore. But let's say I want 65, 65 that. Then let's say I want copper. Actually, let's say I want gold bars. It updates. So now I have 130 ore because you need 2 ore per each bar you want. And the interesting is fines. So the interesting about gold bars is one of the few recipes that require something in the same category. So it requires torches. Now torches are processed. They are not natural. So they are processed with vines and rods, I think. So this torch, you need 3 wood and 19 vines. So that gets carried down to when you do the gold bar. So you need the ores, you need torches, but also you will need vines and wood. So it breaks all that down for you. So it adds how many vines you need, how many wood you need to make those torches to be used in that recipe. And I have it color coded as well, um, just by how much. So like I think the higher you go, the bluer it gets. and have it like ordered. Um, have a cute little design. This is really just the outline of the image, but it looks like it's like kind of cut a certain way. And I also have this, which if you copy to clipboard and let's say you paste on a sheet somewhere, it copies and pastes. So it automatically makes a to-do list for you that gives you the list of items that you need, and it you can paste it. I don't need that. Let's see. There you go. So yeah, so I want to make this public. So I had that's one of the reasons why I had to rebuild it because a lot of the stuff was private and it's not like anything personal information. It's just the controls. So these controls, if I right click here, I want these collaborative. So that means that if other people are doing it, they can use it at the same time. It doesn't really manipulate anything. But yeah, these are all things in Coda. It took a long time, but it was quicker the second time. And so I was thinking like this framework could work with like Satisfactory, which it already has its own calculator. But I always like to make a tool for myself. Also, Minecraft is really nice too, and this is the issue I have for years. I'm like, what is a way? Because it's not like the difficulty of it is that I can't have a parent to child relationship. So I can't not all the ingredients are just raw materials. So I can't just have one table of raw materials, one table of equipment recipes and just have that work. Because there are some that are raw materials, there are some that are processed materials, and there are some that are like in between. So I can't have everything in the same thing because I have to have some kind of nesting. And so I finally worked it out. It drove me up a wall, but I'm really happy of what it looks like. Um, but yeah, and I think it's like it can work with Satisfactory, it can work with Techtonica, it can work with anything really because it takes account of raw materials, processed materials, other things that are like the same level. Um, I think like there are wires and then there are different kind of wires and that those kind of equipment kind of have the same kind of properties. So that kind of takes account for that and allows you to still calculate it correctly. So I'm really excited.